Hello, everyone. Today we're going to go through Chapter 3, Communication and Teaching Techniques, PowerPoint. If you look on the left-hand side over here, it says Lesson 3.1. So this is Chapter 3, the first part. So I'm going to go through the first part this week, and then I will upload the second part of this chapter next week. So if we were in a face-to-face environment, I would ask you, how would you create a positive experience for your clients? And we kind of stay on this slide for a while, and I'd have you in groups brainstorming. We talk about it. Unfortunately, we're not face to face, so I want you to stop the video, and I just want you to think about, how are you moving forward going to create positive experiences for your client? When you're done, hit play and resume this PowerPoint. So there are stages of the client-trainer relationship. The ACE book talks about 4 stages. Stage 1 is building rapport. Stage 2 is investigation. Stage 3 is planning. And stage 4 is action. So we're going to talk about that a little more in depth. Before we do, I want to talk about the characteristics of a positive client-trainer experience. One is your environment. How is your environment? Is it clean? Is it orderly? Even if you're meeting with your client and you're sitting at a desk, is your desk organized? Is it clean? These things make an impact on your experience with your client. So think about that. When you're working out and getting ready for them to come to your workout session, how is the facility look? Is your workout space clean? Is it orderly? Do you have everything you need set up in advance? All these things make a difference in your training session and also how your client sees your sessions. So it's important to think about that stuff. We talked about that in our face-to-face classes. I want you guys ready, set up. I don't want you scrambling to find equipment while you're training your client. Your appearance is very big. You want to look professional. You want to look clean, well kept, neat. Think about those things. You don't want to look like you just rolled out of bed, threw on, a ripped pair of sweatpants to go meet your client. Be professional. It comes across in a very strong way. And your interactions, as a trainer, you want to be friendly. You want to be, polite. You want to, be understanding. You want to be excited to see them. You also obviously want to make sure you're qualified. You always have to have the qualifications backing what you're doing, because you don't want to get in trouble. Somebody gets hurt and then you're liable because you're not certified. You're outside the scope of your certification. We talked about that already, so I'm not going to touch on that, but make sure you're doing what your certification permits you to do. All right, so let's talk about the rapport stage. The rapport stage is when you are developing a relationship with your client. You're trying to develop, mutual understanding, trust, making them feel comfortable. Again, being professional, making sure the environment's clean, being on time, being organized, being ready. Can't say enough about that. It's so important. Just like your time is valuable, so is your clients'. And if they're paying you for a specific time slot to train them, make sure you're there early, make sure you're ready to go, you're organized. Being enthusiastic, guys. I tell you this all the time. You're new trainers. Enthusiasm should be off the charts. You're interested, you're focused. These are characteristics that, as a client, I want my trainer to have. They're excited to see me. They're enthusiastic and passionate about what they do. They're interested in making my life healthier and putting me on this program and moving me forward in a positive way. And then you always want to encourage clients to ask questions, and make sure when you answer, you're answering where they understand what you're saying. Clarify. You have any other questions? Do you understand? Did I answer your question properly? I hope I did. Let me know. Those are things that you could always clarify with your client. So here's an activity I want you to think about. Think about a recent encounter you had with somebody working in a service industry. Did you walk away with a very strong first impression? Was it positive? Was it negative? What elements of the interaction made you feel that way? What could the individual have done differently to provide the best possible customer service experience? So think about that. We all have had these moments in our daily life where we encounter somebody in the service industry. Was it a great first impression? Did they make you feel comfortable? Were they understanding about what you were going through? Whatever it is, you walked away with either a positive vibe or a negative vibe, right? So we're in the service industry. So it's important that we think about these things. How is our first impression when somebody meets us? Are we excited? Are we understanding? Are we in? Are we listening? Do they walk away with a positive or negative experience? Again, we're in the service industry. We need to think about these things because we want our clients to walk away with a positive experience. So building rapport. Use good communication skills. So speak clearly. Use language that's easily understood. Avoid talking down to your clients. Speak professionally. So use exercise science vocabulary, but be prepared to define what you're saying. Enhance verbal content with visual information that illustrates your concepts. Exercise demonstrations with verbal explanations. Analyze voice quality. So a weak, soft voice does not inspire client confidence, right? A loud, tense voice can make somebody feel nervous. And we want to aim to have that voice quality that's firm and confident. We're communicating professionally. They're hearing us. Especially think about your environment. When we talk about the Suffolk gym that we were, training our clients in, the acoustics aren't the greatest and people are talking and music may be playing. So, you need to project your voice more. So think about where you're training your client, the environment, what's going on. Is it loud? Then you need to talk a little louder so they can understand and hear you clearly. So be aware of those things. So nonverbal communication, I want you to listen to this video. So click on it. It's a 3-minute video. Listen to it. And then we'll proceed with our PowerPoint presentation. So clients seek to verify verbal content by evaluating appearance, facial expressions, body language, tone of voice. So think about some nonverbal communication skills. So eye contact. Are you looking at your client when you're talking to them? Are you looking at your client when they're talking to you? That's what you should be doing because it relays the message that you're engaged in this conversation. If you're looking away or looking down, it's disengaging. It's like you're not interested in what they're talking about. Facial expressions, aim to portray a sincere emotion, a positive regard for your clients. Your hand gestures should be relaxed. Body language, you should be standing upright, open posture, good posture. That means you're interested. If I'm slouched over, my shoulders are rounded, it looks like I'm tired, I'm really not into this meeting or communication that we're having. So think about your body language when you're training. What message are you conveying? Being late communicates lack of respect. Avoid interruptions. Think about when you're training, is your phone ringing? Is people texting you or people interrupting you? Are you just disengaged and talking to somebody else? These are things you don't want to do. Their time is valuable. You want to make their time quality time. So you're into it 100%. Think about those things when you're training and moving forward. All right, so here's a case study. I will post this up like I did the case study on chapter 2. I want you to read through it, and then I want you to answer these questions. Jill keeps looking around. What nonverbal communications is she displaying? Are they helpful or not? What could she change? So I'll post that up. It will be a homework assignment link. I want you to complete that and write as much information about this case study down as possible. All right, investigation. That is gathering as much information as possible. So, whatever forms you're having them fill out, have them fill them out, sit down with them, go through the forms. When you're doing that, you're demonstrating effective listening. You're not only just talking, right? You're getting information, write down what they're saying, because if you're training a lot of people, you might not remember everything they say. So it's important to write down things when you're training your clients, when you're meeting them for the first time, when you're going through paperwork. That way you don't forget. Responding to difficult disclosures, how will you handle that? Think about that stuff. All right, phases of the investigation stage. So we'll talk about this. Again, it's gathering information, effective listening, and responding to difficult situations or questions, I should say. So gathering information. Take time to review health history, lifestyle questionnaire forms, again, clarifying questions. Think about when you go to the doctor. Every time I go to the doctor, I have to update my information, right? I'm in the waiting room, I update my information. Then they take me into the exam room and I wait for the doctor to come in. Or maybe the nurse is there and they go through my paperwork, asking me questions and clarifying what I put down. So, it's important that you do that as well, because sometimes, you might miss something on the paperwork. Sometimes, you don't feel comfortable writing it down. You'd rather verbalize it, or maybe just sometimes in the moment you could get more verbally out of your client in a face-to-face setting. So, asking questions about previous activity experiences, thinking about maybe asking, do you like to exercise in the morning or at the end of the day? What type of exercise have you done? Was it more moderate or vigorous in nature? What worked for you in past exercise programs? What didn't work for you? Do you like to exercise alone? Do you like the buddy system? Gather as much information. So, moving on to effective listening. To demonstrate effective listening, a trainer should, 1, give clients their full attention. Close communication occurs most easily in a quiet, private space. So think about where you're sitting with your client when you're going through their paperwork. Direct conversation by asking questions. Maintaining appropriate eye contact. Good body language. Take notes when necessary. All right, so responding to difficult questions. All right, so with the disclosure of something very sad, such as like a serious illness or an illness of somebody or a death of somebody close to the client, a short response may be all that is appropriate, like, I'm sorry, that must have been really hard, or I can't even imagine how difficult that was or is. You don't have to go into great detail and feel like you have to have a solution to this situation. Just understanding and showing some empathy goes a long way. All right, so if a situation affects the exercise program design, then turn conversation back to the practical details. Like, for example, so now that your mother has moved in with you, what is the best time for you to get to the fitness center? What is the best time for us to work out? If new medical information is disclosed, you could refer the client to their healthcare provider for medical clearance. All right, so this just came up. We just found this out. Can you just please talk to your doctor and see if we can move forward with our exercise program? And maybe there's some parameters that I need to know moving forward to keep you safe. So if new medical conditions arise outside of your scope of practice and expertise, thinking about referring the client out is probably the best bet. If you're not familiar with how to train somebody that is going through a specific medical issue, of course you could do your research. Of course you can have them ask the doctor for parameters. But if you're not comfortable moving forward, then referring them out. And we talked about that during chapter 1 of having some referral sources in your, in your back pocket. Like, all right, so this is a great person. I think you should talk to this person. They can help you. I don't want you to feel like you can't handle certain situations medically, as far as training goes. I think that we could all educate ourselves. We could talk to people that are really experienced with clients like that, and we could move forward in a way that's safe with our client. Or you could refer the client out to somebody that does have experience, and maybe you shadow that person so you develop experience training somebody with that special population issue. The more you know, the more clients you could train, right? So just something to think about. All right. So the planning stage, setting SMART goals and evaluating them regularly. So SMART goals are, SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and a time frame. And there's many templates online. You could Google SMART goal templates and they'll come up. But it's important to develop goals with your clients, right? And short-term goals are the best because they're achievable in a shorter time frame. And when you achieve your goal, it builds self-esteem and confidence, excitement about your program, and then you could set another goal for yourself. Or your clients, I should say. There's nothing wrong with long-term goals, but you should have short-term goals in place to achieve that long-term goal. Generating and discussing alternatives and formulating a plan, evaluating the program. In the planning stage, there's so many things that we can consider here. Think about obstacles that clients may encounter. And if we have plans in place, so this is an obstacle for them, but this is an action that we could take when that obstacle comes our way, we'll be more likely, hopefully, to breeze through that obstacle and stay on the right course. So, thinking about those things in the planning stage, let's think about all these obstacles that you may encounter. Let's write some strategies down on how we can combat those obstacles. Generating a plan is your action plan. All right, so here's our goal, here's our barriers, here's our action plan if we encounter these barriers, here's our plan moving forward to achieve our goal, and then always evaluating the program. How are things going? Are we moving forward? Are we seeing results? What are you doing outside of our training sessions? Like trying to also incorporate things they could do outside of your training will help them be more successful, and in turn you more successful, because they're going to spread the word about you. They're going to talk to their friends. I have the best trainer. Yeah, we meet twice a week, but my trainer is always in contact with me during the week, sending me exercises to do, little videos to do, evaluating the things I'm eating. I know you're not dietitians and you can't put them on a program, but what are we having for breakfast? Here are some good things that you could start swapping in that are healthy. What are you having for lunch? What are you having for dinner? Or maybe they're using an app to track their food and their progress, so they're more accountable. So these are things that you could think about moving forward to, create more success with your clients. All right, the planning stage goals. The personal trainer should be sure to include process and product goals, considering the following. So when you're talking about SMART goals, their emotional health, a training zone, they want to, and you want to talk to them about a training zone, right? Their resting heart rate. We can calculate their training zone from that, but we could also, if we're doing a program with them and their resting heart rate goes down, that's one of the adaptations about exercise, especially cardio. That's proof that their heart is stronger, more efficient, healthier, right? Are we balancing out muscular strength and endurance, skill level, flexibility? There's, walking tests that we can incorporate, medical indicators, their body weight, size, and body composition. So all these things factor into how we're going to goal set. Are we balancing out our workouts? Are we creating safe, effective workouts? What their body composition is? Is it in a healthy category? Do we need to work on getting it to a healthy category? So a process goal is something a client does, such as completing a certain number of workouts per week, right? So we talk about process goals. A product goal is something that's achieved from the process goal. So whether it's weight loss or resistance lifted and, a training program, that's the difference between those two. So they work hand in hand together. But, we want to make sure we're thinking about these things when we're setting our goals as well. All right, planning stage alternative. So after goals are clarified, the personal trainer and client are ready to generate alternate ways of achieving these goals. The program must be simple enough that the client can perform the program on his or her own. The program can grow in complexity over time. The client should be encouraged to take the lead in what seems realistic, especially in terms of time commitment and scheduling. So the ultimate goal for every client is adherence, right? Sticking to the program. If the client finds the exercise program achievable and rewarding and continues working with the personal trainer, that would be the most ideal situation. So we want to design programs that are appropriate, that are achievable, that have, rewards, meaning we're going to set these goals and work towards these goals. And if you're training somebody once a week or twice a week, it might be hard to see those goals come quick, right? So that's where training outside of your scheduled training sessions is important. And what I mean by that is, and I've said this before in previous slides, I've said it face to face, is the more involved you are with your clients, the more success they'll have, right? So if I'm training them twice a week, I'm going to give them things to do outside of my training sessions with them. I'm going to check in with them on a regular basis. I'm going to send them recipes. I'm going to send them, motivational quotes. I'm going to keep that communication open outside of my training sessions because I want them to be successful. They came to me for help. That's my goal. So the more you invest, they'll hopefully, I think the likelihood of adherence is a lot higher and they will see more results because they know you're invested and then they'll be invested. Again, this is not a 100% guarantee, but it's definitely a higher percentage. The more you're invested in them and giving them this information and checking in with them, there's a higher rate of success in their program. Formulating a plan. So write down the plan and give it to the client. It should include all the information that the client needs to get started. Take the opportunity to help the client feel prepared to begin the exercise program, offer advice to help the client feel more comfortable. So, you're with them, obviously, right? If they're training with you for an hour or a half hour, you're in it 100%. You're there, you're, giving them information, you're talking them through exercise, form, technique, cues, you're motivating them. But outside of the program, you're writing down things they should do. If they're coming to the gym 4 times a week and twice a week they're training with you, what are they doing on those other 2 days? Give them some things to do. Give them information. Give them exercises. Give them a program to follow. Have them take a class, a group fitness class, again, offer advice to help them feel more comfortable. So repeating myself, the more you're involved, the more you plan, the more you create for your client, the more successful they'll be. You should also realize, guys, as a personal trainer, I know most of them fail to realize this, but it's very intimidating for somebody that's new to come into a fitness facility. You know, it's extremely anxiety ridden for somebody that's not exercised in the past, that wants to start exercising. Think about somebody who's overweight and sedentary walking into a fitness facility. It's really scary for them. So we need to be empathetic about that. We have to offer guidance, showing them around, orientating them with different exercises and machines that they could do when they're not training with you. Maybe introducing them to people in the gym, other trainers, other clients that you may know. Um, where to go, what to wear, etiquette in the fitness facility, like wiping down your machines, putting your weights away, things like that. They might not know. So it's okay for us to give them that information and make them feel more comfortable. All right, so we're going to review client exercise records regularly during the session, discuss changes when necessary. So, if we're progressing, we could talk about that with them. You're doing so well with this exercise. I want to, progress a little bit further. I want to talk about, what has changed? Like, how was your week? Tell me what you've been doing. Write these things down so you can, the next time you see them, say, oh yeah, so how's this going? We talked about it last time. That shows your client that you were listening, and that's important, right? In developing rapport. Reassess periodically to measure progress. So periodically do some assessments on them, working towards their goals, right? To see if they've achieved all that they've been working on with you and without you. Evaluate both exercises that are challenging and adherence. Check in with them with those issues. They talk to you about barriers. How are things going with this and that? Have you encountered any obstacles that have been challenging with the goal that we set? Talk to them about that. Modify the program as necessary. If adherence is faltering, discuss the problems and revise the exercise design as necessary. So communication, guys, is the foundation here. Talking and communicating, writing it down, giving advice, coping mechanisms, strategies in place for them to stay on track. And the summary is successful personal trainers consistently demonstrate excellent communication and teaching techniques throughout various stages of their client-trainer relationship. The ultimate goal for every client is adherence to the program. The more involved you are, the more you make their program designs appropriate and achievable, and the more success they have in your sessions, and also outside of their sessions, they'll adhere to the program better. Personal trainers help clients define goals in specific and measurable terms so that progress can be evaluated. So we talked about SMART goal setting, but again, you want to make sure it's specific, meaning, all right, I want to lose weight. Now, how much weight do you want to lose? Can we measure this? Is it realistic? Just say a client wants to lose 30 pounds. Let's set a goal for 10 pounds right now. Let's do 10 pounds in X amount of weeks. We'll measure it. We'll work hard. We'll, check in with each other. We'll be doing things in our program and outside of our program to make sure you stay on track. That's important for you to talk to them about setting realistic goals. All right, guys, so I'm going to end this PowerPoint now. If you have any questions about it, please feel free to email me. I'm going to post up the case study that you're going to do from this first PowerPoint, and that will be under the week that this PowerPoint is inserted in Blackboard, and I believe it's probably week 2, like I want to say April 6th through the 12th. I'm almost 100%. That's the week I'm inserting this. All right, guys. So hope you enjoyed the presentation, and I will post another one for part 2 of chapter 3.